everybody, Gabriel Santiago here. So this is the Speaking of Harmony podcast, and this is episode 27. All right, already approaching a month, huh? Thank you so much for all the feedback, all the questions. Keep them coming. It's great to be interacting with you guys. Before we go into today's subject, I would love to invite you guys for a live stream that I'm doing tomorrow on YouTube at 8 p.m. Central Time. So don't forget to schedule that, set a reminder. I'm gonna post a link here in the description so you can set a reminder, and then YouTube let you know by the time I'm about to stream, 8 p.m. and it's gonna be great to be playing some songs and interacting with you guys, answer your questions. I know you have a lot of questions all the time, and it'll be a great time to interact. Keep interacting, right? Because I'm always doing these lives now, all this throughout the week, 2 at least. And before we go to the subject of today, also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the little bell thing notification. This is all my social media stuff. Don't forget to hit the like button. You know, it really helps. And also don't forget to subscribe to the main list. The link is here in the video, so don't forget about that. All right, another one of those questions I get all the time about playing this Brazilian music thing, right? Gabriel, how do you phrase over that? Right? How do you phrase that? How do you accent these things, playing this type of music? The answer is long, of course, right? And complex and deep, but there are a few things, a few hints that I'm going to talk about here today that will help you guys to kind of navigate through some of this music, right? The first thing I would say is that you got to be really sure on what kind of grid you're in, like I was saying in the past episode. Right, I talked about the 16-note grid, which kind of gives the Brazilian swing feel. I'd swing the 16 notes, right? You have to be kind of distilling everything to 16 notes and all that, right? So when you're playing a song like a jazz standard or bebop or something, I have to be inside the language, right? What that means? It means, 4/4, I am playing a swung 8 note, right? I'm inside that language. I know what makes that style. I know, so I have some kind of information on how I'm gonna approach that, right? I have to base in my playing into like how should I approach this style, right? With Brazilian music, it's the same thing, right? I have to be kind of aware of what's going on rhythmically and what's the framework that I'm gonna work with, right? So I'm giving you guys an example, like a clear example on using one tune only and then playing both ways, and then I'm gonna talk about the things about each way of playing, each phrasing and accenting, and then it's gonna be clear what I'm using to accent and phrase over Brazilian music. This is more like related to like solo improvisation, but you can expand that into a rhythm in general, the way you comp, the way you accent, right? So bear with me here. I'm gonna do that thing again where I have files that I have to moving them around to sync with real time, right? But the song, the standard Dona Lee, right, by the great Charlie Parker, right? You probably know that. That one. So the harmony is like this. We're gonna go to here, okay? We're gonna stop here, not play the entire song. There's just a little bit left, but we're gonna stick around here. So I'm gonna be phrasing through this song. Just freely phrasing, right? The first time you hear me phrasing like using, bebop language, bebop common language. I'm phrasing over bebop. There's gonna be a drum, some drums getting me some time, give me some tempo, and then I'm gonna be playing through a more like a samba choro kind of vibe. Same tune, same chord progression, but I'm gonna be phrasing through like Brazilian style, right? So get an idea what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Let's see if this playback thing is gonna work. And there we go. This is the Bebop sort of common language that I'm going to be phrasing. There we go. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? Something like that. Now I'm gonna phrase through the same chord changes, the same tune, but now I'm gonna be kind of inside the Brazilian language, right? Rhythmic and accent and all that stuff. Let's see how that sounds. There we go. Playback coming. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? You notice the clear difference, right? So what am I doing, right? What am I changing, between both approaches, right? Well, I'm really aware of what kind of rhythmic template or, framework I have to be working with before I even play a note, right? So on the jazz example, I'm pretty aware of what the language kind of informs me on what to play, like in what kind of framework I should be working with. The jazz one, it's 4/4, and 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3. So all my sort of like fast phrasing is gonna be in 8 notes. But not only that, the 8 note in jazz is swung, right? The famous jazz, the swung 8 note in jazz, right? Instead of doing 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. This is the right quarter note, right? The 8 note will be, if I'm like 1 2 3 4 1 2, but the jazz swung 8 note to be 1 2 1 2 3 right? Right? So that's the first thing I have to be aware of. Swung 8 notes and jazz, right? Also, there's this sort of like underpinning like triplets that I'm always like thinking about when I'm phrasing over this stuff, instead of 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 I'm always thinking of this triplet, right? Right? That's swung 8 note and triplets. So the accents and the anticipations and the rhythmic framework I'm going to be working with, it's given already. So when I go to phrase, I have to be aware of that, right? With the Brazilian one, it's the same approach. I have to figure out what kind of terrain I'm stepping in, right? So I know there's going to be in 2/4, and my grid is not going to be the 8 note, it's going to be the 16 note, right? So I'm playing 1 2 1 2 right? And straight, not swung as well, right? So instead of doing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1, that's an 8 note, right? I'm gonna be 16 note, right? phrasing through that. So 16 note grid, but there's something else I'm playing here that you can hear, right? In the language, in the vocabulary, the accents I'm using. So I'm accenting the second 16 note in that, if you divide the bar with 8 16 notes, right? Right? I'm accenting the second one. That's a no-brainer. You have to accent the second 16 note if you play 16 note kind of common language in that style, right? I'm also doing an accenting sometimes the fourth 16 note as well, so I'm accenting the second and the fourth 16 notes, right? But then here go another very important thing. Remember that I was talking about in the swing kind of version, in the jazz bebop language one. I'm also thinking about the triplets, right? 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 That triplet thing, it's also kind of in there, right? Over here, we gotta be thinking about the 16 notes, as I said before, right? The and then with the accent, the second, and also the 2 and 4, right? But there's also a figure that I'm thinking about too, and that's a major figure, a syncopation figure that it's kind of like it unites all these Brazilian rhythms. It's present in almost all of them in different ways, but it's there. It's this figure right here, right? You're gonna see on the screen this figure right here. That's a no-brainer. It's in everywhere. It's everywhere, right? This figure, if you're going 1 2 1 2, right? Is that just the same as taking the 8 16 notes and connecting the middle ones, the 2 middle ones, right? So ti ta 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 ti 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 ta ti ta ta ti ta ta ti ta ta ti ta ta ta, right? So you get pa 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 ti pa 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 becomes visually ta 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 ta. That's everywhere. You're gonna hear, books, and gonna see books and charts and everything. It's there, and then with the anticipations and ties and all this stuff. It's everywhere, right? So I am thinking about those things when I am soloing. I'm really aware of what's going on rhythmic wise. So I know that I have to be thinking of a 16 note grid. I know that I'm accenting, second 16 or second and fourth 16 of the group of 4. And I know that this figure is kind of on the line, I think. Tick, 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 tick. I'm like playing the figure sometimes, or playing straight lines of 16 notes, but I'm aware of that figure. It's kind of like underneath everything, kind of like the triplets in the jazz, right? So I'm gonna give you one more example so you can see of me phrasing through both, and then you see how different they are and what I'm thinking as well in terms of both approaches, right? So you see the difference between the bebop one to the Brazilian one, right? So this is the jazz one more time. There we go. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Right? Something like that. Now, let's take a look at the Brazilian one. Again, I'm gonna play more chords now too, and phrase and play chords so you can kind of get the sense of the harmony and how this phrasing happens. There you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, something like that, right? So I think it was clear now what the hell I'm thinking about when I'm phrasing over this stuff. I mean, I'm not thinking about it, but that stuff is in, within me, right? I'm feeling the tempo and time and the chords and the melodic ideas like that. I know exactly what kind of terrain I'm walking into before I play, right? And you see that I can play even like play bebop lines and stuff, which is kind of what I do when I'm soloing, even through like Brazilian music, right? I can give you an example. I'm gonna get another one of these Brazilian play-alongs here, the drums, and then I'm gonna be straight up soloing like bebop style, but I'm using that language, the accents and thinking about the grids and all these figures. Even though I am playing within a bebop language, common language, scales and phrasing and shapes and stuff like that, and gestures, it sounds Brazilian because I'm inside the language, The rhythm is sound. There we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Right? Something like that. So you saw this clear. I am inside the Brazilian rhythm and the language, even though my melody language, the shapes and the the scales and the gestures I'm using, it's super like bebop language, saxophone, but I am kind of within the style of Brazilian music because I'm aware of what I'm walking into. I know what grids I'm supposed to be locked in. I know what kind of accents I need to use. So this is, I think, a good overall to answer a question I get all the time regarding my phrasing and how do I accent this music when I'm soloing and how do I phrase over it. So I hope you like that. And before I go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the little bell notifications. This is all my social media stuff. Don't forget to sign up for the mailing list because you guys have been asking about this stuff. I have something coming up for you who wants to really go deep into that kind of stuff, playing Brazilian music and all that stuff, rhythms and improvisation, harmony. Stay tuned because there's something coming up really awesome for you. And I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to go to the live tomorrow and interact over there, right? I'll see you in the next one.